Perfect. So welcome. This is our unwind class. Getting yourself set up and comfortable for this class is number one priority of this class. The number one priority is just you, your comfort. I have a blanket with me as well as a bolster. You, if you have other things that you like to use for more rest-based classes, such as an eye pillow or a sandbag, um, anything like that, just feel free to have that handy as well. And yeah, we're gonna go through kind of a nice like bedtime class, and I'm just really excited to share this practice with you guys tonight because I'm getting the sense that right now, especially here where we're living in Canada, of course, we're in the winter season, which really only began like a few weeks ago at the winter solstice. And so we've moved into this time of darkness and we're returning to the light, but it is a time when we're asked to really honor rest. So, with that in mind, I'm going to invite you to come into Shavasana to start off the class. So, choosing what you want this to look like for you tonight, we'll be here for a few minutes. And if it is seated for you, that's great. You can stay here, get yourself comfortable. But like I said, tonight is about rest. So whatever's going to feel really juicy and kind of restorative for you, if that's laying out flat on the back, and you can always bring your bolster or your pillow underneath the knees. Also, if you want to bring a blanket over top of you, if it's kind of chilly in the room that you're in, or if you just even want that for just like pure comfort, not even for warmth. And so taking a few moments here just to get yourself settled into whatever posture is going to feel restful and easy to start off our class. We're going to come into a little bit of breath, a little bit of meditation. And so, if it feels comfortable for you tonight, you can go ahead and close the eyes. We'll move through a few cleansing breaths together if that feels all right. Working with the breath, you can take a deep inhale through the nose, out through the mouth. I'm just moving through a few rounds like that, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Just noticing how, as you start to deepen the breath, lengthen the breath, as you really just let that energy release out with the exhale. Maybe with each breath, with each exhale, you could just drop down a layer or two, feeling the body come into a little bit more softness. And just, signaling to yourself, communicating to yourself, to your body, your mind, your whole being, it's okay for us to just be here now, to come out of that energy of doing, just take a moment actually and thank yourself. Whatever it is you've done today, I'm sure there were many things, but even if it was just purely, getting out of bed, just thank yourself for all those things you've done today, all those ways you've shown up for yourself, for other people, for your work, for your play, whatever it might be, for this practice. And then just taking total permission, right? To come into some rest now, to come into some softness, some stillness, to move out of that energy of doing and soften into just being, for this next hour or so. Nothing you need to do, no one you need to be, nothing you need to show up as. You get to just be here as you are in this moment. So I'm going to invite you to run a gentle scan through the body, starting at the top of the head and moving down slowly towards the toes. Just noticing if there's anywhere else that you could release, let go, soften a little bit more. So perhaps feeling just that space between the brows opening up, softening through the muscles around the eyes, around the forehead, around the mouth. Feeling the jaw relax. And just softening even the throat, chest and shoulders. Hmm. Feeling that heart space open up a little bit more here. Letting go through the arms, through each fingertip. Feeling the belly soften. Just releasing any need or desire to hold in and really allow the belly to relax, to flow with each breath. And just feeling that back relax. Perhaps if you're lying down, it softens into the support beneath you a little bit more. And feeling a little bit of ease moving through your hips, your whole pelvic bowl, your glutes, your thighs. I'm just communicating with the body. We don't need to hold anything here. We're safe here. We can just let it go, let it be. Softening in through the low legs, the ankles, the feet, the toes. I'm starting to tune into this energy of rest. And I'm going to invite you to notice, without any judgment, just purely as this, curious witness, to start to notice, what does this concept, this idea, this energy of rest, what does it bring up for you? Noticing that at different times it might mean different things to you. So in this moment, rest. How does that feel? Just noticing that tonight, rest might feel just so juicy, so wonderful, so needed. Noticing if there are perhaps some spaces within you, within the body, within the mind that feel resistant to rest. There might be some layers to this concept, this energy of rest. Might bring up some ideas, some beliefs, some old stories. It's lazy to rest. We shouldn't rest until all the work is done. And just seeing all those pieces, all those stories, even if it's just like some part inside of you just opening your arms to rest, like, yes, please. Whatever is there for you tonight. We're in this winter season. Yeah, we're in this season of darkness. The days are shorter. We're in this space that really historically encouraged rest, right? Rest was actually quite necessary come the winter season. And it played into this larger cycle. So as we move into our last few breaths here, I'm just going to invite you So open your heart a little bit to rest, and knowing that it is just one piece of this whole. It's one piece of this cycle, which also includes, spaces of outwardness, spaces of kind of just awakening, spaces of starting to move inwards, but, cleaning up the pieces. So if you're willing tonight, inviting this rest and perhaps even just communicating to yourself that you deeply deserve rest. There's nothing you need to do or prove to earn rest. It is a part of you. It is inherent in you. It is a part of your cycle and also the larger cycles of life. So I'm going to invite you to just start to bring in a little bit of movement. I'll come to meet you on your back, and we're going to stay down on the back body for now. So as you feel ready, we'll start to just bring a little bit of movement in, wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes. Perhaps moving away some of the props, like a sandbag or whatever you might have. And then we're going to start to invite a bend into the knees. And we're going to walk them. I'm just going to move that out of the way. We're going to walk the feet as wide as the mat, planting them down. And we're just going to warm up our hips and our legs a little bit. So we'll start to sink the knees down to the right side, up through center, over to the left. We're just kind of windshield wiping the knees side to side. Noticing that if it feels good, you could pick up your bottom foot and just set it on top of the knee, just for a breath or two, feeling some lengthening down the outside edge of your leg, through the hip area. And then just releasing that, planting that foot, coming onto the other side. Perfect. And from here, I'm going to invite you to have your bolster or your pillows set up on your right-hand side. And we're going to come into our first stretch. So we're going to keep our right foot planted. And we're going to invite our left knee in towards the belly. Just giving it a little hug in, whether you're holding on top of the knee or just on top of the thigh. Give that ankle a little roll, a little release. And then we're going to come to cross our left ankle over at the right knee. We'll come into our figure four, our reclined pigeon, whatever you want to call it. We're just coming into a stretch through the left hip. So you can keep the feet planted here if you're already feeling enough, and just simply work with sinking this knee toward the back corner of your mat. Or if you want, you can start to pick the legs up off the mat, holding on to either the base of your foot and the outside edge of your knee, or threading the hands behind your thigh. So just finding kind of your sweet spot here, noticing that there might be some intuitive movement that shows up here. Maybe it's just a little rock side to side. And then ultimately, we're going to drop into a little bit of stillness here. So once you've found that sweet spot, which when we're holding longer poses, when we're working with the yin practice, it's kind of that space where we're getting some stretch, some sensation, but we don't feel like we're in any pain. We don't feel like we're like really straining to have to hold ourselves there. So just tuning into your own body and finding that space for you. And we're going to drop into about 3 to 5 breaths here. In these next few moments, we're going to shift, but we're going to keep our legs kind of as they are. And we have our bolster over here on the right side of our body. We're going to start to drop the outside edge of our right leg and the base of our left foot down onto this prop. And from here, you can play with a few things. Sometimes I like to reach down with my hand and just hold on at the ankle. We're working with letting this left hip now just soften back down towards the mat. But if you need, you can definitely keep shoulders stacked, or you can start to drop that left shoulder down to the earth, maybe sending that arm out to the side, resting on the ground. And as that left hip softens, just noticing how this knee can sort of be pointed in the general direction of the ceiling. We'll come into a few breaths here. If you feel like you want to move deeper with this, you can remove the bolster and just come right down to the ground. So choice is yours. Either way, you're definitely gonna feel into some stretch here, I find at least. Awesome. So I think it can be really freeing when we start to let go of some of these old beliefs that many of us, especially in North America, tend to have around, action and rest. And there tends to be definitely this mentality of like, more is more. And like, absolutely like accomplishment is totally, praised. And we have a lot of these ideas about what we need to do to be worthy. And I know for myself, at least, it was really freeing when I started to realize that, you know, I am a being of light. I am, one with nature, and nature works in these cycles. Nature is not just constantly, full bloom, full swing. It takes these times of the year um, to rest, to go inward, to reset, to start fresh. And I think it can be really freeing for us as humans to recognize that that is our nature too, truly. So we get to have these periods of like performing and just, feeling that magnificence of kind of like moving outward and accomplishing and, setting a goal and reaching it. And it's so potent and powerful and beautiful to feel into that energy. But there's also so much beauty in these other kind of seasons within ourselves. There is beauty in just rest and stillness. So we're going to find about 3 last breaths here. Just giving you a reminder that this is your practice. If at any time you need to come out of a pose before I have cued it, please feel free to do that. Never stay in a pose if it feels painful. That's never the intention of my classes. So from here, we're actually going to come into a twist. So we're not going very far. We're going to keep our low leg where it is, and we're just going to release that left leg. Bringing the knees, low leg, and feet to stack. And then if you need, you can kind of adjust them. You might need to send the knees further away, or you might want to pull them in closer towards the belly. And from here, you can play with a couple things. If you want to stay just shoulders stacked, or you can bring that twist in through the spine by opening up the arms out to the side into a T, chest moving up towards the ceiling. And again, you can keep this bolster here, or if you feel like it, you can move that bolster out of the way and just bring the legs all the way down to the earth. So from here, a couple things you can play with. Sometimes I like to bring my hand on top of my knees and just kind of draw them down in towards the support. If it feels comfortable in your neck, you can drop your gaze in the opposite direction of your knees. So you'd be gazing over your left fingertips. Wonderful. So we're going to come to just rest into this posture for a little while. Again, making any adjustments that you might need so this feels like it suits you. And then starting to notice, one of the things I've been really noticing lately is that stillness is our teacher. Stillness is our teacher. Sometimes coming into stillness, slowing down, softening, moving into that space of rest, like I said at the start of class, will feel really good. And sometimes it will feel really uncomfortable. And really, either way, there is a lesson, a blessing, a teaching there for you. It's really just, are you willing to see it? Are you willing to, open to stillness? Are you willing to notice what it has to teach you? And sometimes you will be and sometimes you won't be. And either way, it's not good or bad, it just is. But if you've been called to this class and you find yourself in this pose, in this stillness, perhaps you want to open to that a little bit. What does this have to offer me tonight? So just cueing in, maybe it's body cues, maybe it's emotions, maybe it's an awareness, an idea, a creative idea that will come through. Just knowing and trusting that this stillness and rest truly is a gift. All right, so we're going to feel into about 3 final breaths here on this side. When you're ready, no rush at all, just starting to bring in, a little bit of movement. We're going to come out of this pose probably by just lifting the legs off the bolster, hugging them in towards the body. And again, you're going to notice what intuitive movement just shows up for you here. It might feel good to rock side to side on the low back. You might like to lower those feet to plant. And again, just kind of sink the knees side to side. So as you take your time to find what the body needs here in this space in between. I'm just going to invite you to pick up your props and just set them over onto the other side. And then from here, we'll reset. We'll move through that sequence on the opposite side. So our left foot stays planted. Our right ankle comes to cross over. And then again, just noticing you may just need to just stay here, take some breath into that hip. It might feel good to pick the legs up, drawing them in, holding onto the foot and the knee, or threading the hands behind that left thigh. And it might feel good to move a little circles, little rocks side to side, but ultimately, we're going to come into that space of stillness. Finding your final 3 breaths here. And then we're going to drop into that IT band stretch. So we're dropping the legs over to the left this time. So the outside edge of your left leg, and then the base of your right foot. Come to rest onto your prop. If you want, you can use your left hand, reach down, hold the ankle. You can open the chest towards ceiling, right arm sinking out, and then noticing how perhaps you could just start to soften that right hip down toward the mat, still keeping the foot planted. If we have been in a stage or a space or a lifetime of, just do, kind of like that push mentality, I think it can be scary. It can be scary, especially at first, to like have this idea, this permission of rest and stillness. And I think partly it's because we've been so imbalanced in the outwardness that like moving in, slowing down, coming into stillness, we think, oh my gosh, if I start doing that, if I just start, resting, or I give myself permission to stop, like I'll just stay there forever, right? I'll never kind of get back to like productivity. But the thing is, as in nature, we have a natural rhythm. There might be, those days where, we sit on the couch for like 7 hours. And if we've been doing a lot and that feels good, it'll be like, yeah, that's really nice. But you're not going to spend every single day doing that same thing, right? There is just going to reach this natural point where it's like, okay, I feel rested. This actually isn't serving me anymore, and I'm going to move back into that flow, right? Because that is the natural cycle, the natural rhythm. So it's really when we can start to embrace, all of those pieces, the rest, the quiet of winter, right? Like our body when we sleep at night, you know, that kind of awakening, that planting the seeds, that formulating plans, right? Making plans, making creations in the spring. You know, that summer space when we're out, we're enjoying the sun, you know, we're doing the things. And then the fall, when we get to start to slow things down, you know, we feel that rest phase, that death phase, if you will, kind of calling us. We let go of the things that aren't working for us. And then we come into that winter, that rest, that coming inward, right? Moving into our inner cave to reset. So as you're ready, just communicate to your body. We're going to shift. Again, we're just going to pick up our top leg, uncross that ankle, and we're coming into our twist. So the knees, low legs, feet are all stacked. And then if it works for you, you can open up the body, the chest. Or if you need, bring your right shoulder to stack. You could bring an arm, a pillow, a blanket underneath the head. So perhaps just feeling a little bit more willing to move into that inner cave, you know, to find some of that retreat. Some of that space to just be without any expectations, without any requirements for what you need to do or produce, create. You might be very surprised what you find there. All right, so we're going to find about 5 final breaths here on this side. When you feel ready, we'll start that shift, just inviting the legs in through center one more time. And again, like just noticing my legs just wanted to stretch, stretch out long. So if that feels good, you can just kind of roll out the ankles a little bit here. Maybe rock side to side on the low back. And when you're ready, we're going to come through to seated and just take a gentle release over to your side. Use your arm to lift yourself up. And we'll set up for our next pose. So no rush at all. We've been down for a while, so just take your time. We're going to use our bolster, and we're going to just come to set it lengthways along the mat. From here, If you want a little extra padding underneath your hips, you can set a blanket at the base. And then we're gonna come to turn our body around, bringing your tailbone up to or near the bolster. And we'll just meet seated here for a moment and just rock out our spine a little bit. So sinking into that seated cat-cow, drawing chest, belly, gaze open, and then sinking back. And then when you feel ready, we're gonna come to lay over our bolster. So we're gonna lay our whole spine, back of the head, to come to rest. And then we're gonna open up shoulders, arms on either side. And we're just feeling this opening through the chest, that release through the armpits, shoulders, opening up the heart space, letting the hands rest on the earth. And through the legs, your choice. You can keep the legs long. If you like to have them in a diamond shape with the feet together and the knees apart. Some people might prefer to have feet planted. You could walk the feet wider and sort of rest the knees together in the center. So allowing yourself to really fully arrive into this heart opener. And feeling nice and supported by the props beneath you, the mat beneath you, the earth beneath you. Perhaps as the body begins to still, continues to still, and you let that heart space open up a little bit more, you might find the thoughts begin to slow, not go away, maybe just a little more space in between. I'm just feeling into this sense of this earth and really this universal love that holds you. Just wrapped up in these arms of love and support. And this energy of the Divine Mother that exists within all of us, regardless of age, gender, whether or not we actually have children. This Divine Mother, this energy within us that, really recognizes we're the ones now, right? Whether when you were growing up, whether or not you had that, all loving energy of the mother that would sort of scoop you up and, tuck you into bed and say, okay, dear, time to rest now. Whether or not you had that, just really acknowledging that now, as adults, we're the ones. We have to offer that nurturing to ourselves. It's our job now. It's our gift, really, to just cradle ourselves in that energy, in our own loving energy, and say, yeah, okay, you've done enough now. Now it's time to rest. And there's nothing you need to do or prove to deserve that. That is inherently a part of you. So, as we find our final few breaths here in this posture, and just again taking that gentle awakening, maybe wiggling fingers and toes, and just really allowing these transitions to be as full of ease, as full of rest as the postures themselves. So, the safest way to come out of this posture is just to roll off the side of your bolster. So, I like to bring a little bend into my knees and then just come to roll off the side of the bolster again. Just kind of catch yourself on your elbow, lifting up. And then we're going to come right away into a forward fold. And I just want to show you that there's many ways this can be done. So you can choose to either have the legs out in this diamond shape, which will feel a little bit more into the hips, or you can have the legs kind of straight out, wide leg, which will feel a little bit more into the back of the legs. So wherever you are, you're going to notice your body's intuitively probably wanting to do this. We're just going to start to rock forward. So belly, head, chest, neck, everything releases forward. And you can come into this without any support, just kind of sinking forward, letting your body, letting gravity do the work for you. But if you feel like you might like a little bit more support here, you can use the bolster or potentially your pillows in a few ways. You can have, especially if you're higher up in the twist, have the base of the bolster to the earth and then the other end just touching your forehead. You can just start to sink forward onto that. If you're finding yourself a little bit lower, you could lay the bolster across, bring the hands to rest, forehead to rest. So I'll just invite you here to kind of find what works for you. Whatever is going to feel the most supportive. We're going to be here for a little while, a few breaths. So noticing what would feel good, what would feel most supportive, and then coming into that forward fold and just softening in and noticing if the body could relax into your fold a little bit more. And that doesn't necessarily mean coming further into the posture. Maybe it's just relaxing the jaw. Maybe it's softening the back of the neck a little bit more. Maybe it's letting the arms or the hands come into a more comfortable posture. Just allowing yourself to continue with those full deep breaths, even though there's a little bit of restriction on the belly. All right, so we're gonna drop into about 5 last breaths here. And then as you feel ready to release, just inviting that slow roll, starting at the tailbone, lifting all the way up. And again, noticing the body might want to give the shoulders a couple rolls. It might feel good to sink back onto the hands, plant the feet, then just drop the knees side to side. Good. And from here, we're going to come into our final resting pose. So we're moving in towards Shavasana. Um, Traditionally, this is laying out flat on the back. So again, if you want to come onto your back, you can do so. You can use the support of your props underneath your knees or your thighs. If it feels better for you to come into a different restorative pose, a different resting pose, whether that's on your side or on your belly, or a supported child's pose, whatever it is, I'm just going to invite you to find that here and just come into that space of rest. So, arriving in your Shavasana, whatever that looks like for you tonight. And perhaps from here, just letting those eyes come to close. Maybe finding 1 or 2 or 3 more of those cleansing breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Thank yourself for joining in this practice. Nothing more you need to do here. Just inviting yourself to soften into this space of rest. A few moments, stillness. Just feeling your entire being. You're resting down into the earth. Holding yourself with those arms of total love, compassion, acceptance. From Melody Beattie, Journey to the Heart. There is power in stillness. Our miracles and life's magic don't appear when we're restless and frantic. The miracles and magic happen when we're still, quiet, calm, trusting. Each of us has favorite items or places that help to calm and quiet us. Ask yourself, what stills your mind? A walk in the park, a special place in the city, a quiet room, an old robe, a rock, a cross, a picture, a lit candle. Use these places and things to find that place of stillness in yourself and to find the power in stillness. It's a power that comes gently, like the morning sunrise or the evening stars. Take time each day to seek out stillness, to find that sacred spot. Even just for a moment, let your mind and soul be at ease. So, bringing to mind one of the slowest transitions out of Shavasana you've ever had, and perhaps allowing this transition to be a little bit slower. So, without needing to push, without needing to force, just starting to notice, where is the body ready, asking for some movement, some wiggles, stretches. Just bringing in any of that intuitive movement. And as you're ready, as you perhaps start to deepen the breath a little bit, let's invite you to start that transition out of Shavasana up towards your seat. You can bring yourself to come and roll over onto one side if you like. And just hold yourself there for a moment, rest there a moment. And eventually, just lifting the body up through to seated. You can keep the eyes closed for a moment longer if you like. As you get comfortable in your seat, if you'd like, you can place the hands on the heart or bring them into prayer posture at the heart space. As we take this moment to first honor ourselves, to honor our bodies, and to honor one another. Thank you so much for joining me in this practice. I hope that there was some wisdom, teachings, love that you found within this stillness tonight. The light in me honors the light within you. I'm sending you lots of love and blessings. Namaste.